Jaish Muhammad Safayod. Someone said Juming? Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Assalamu alaikum.
How are you? Good.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, everything's good. Long time no speak. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. How are you?
I'm good.
Just finished praying Fajr here. Sorry, I took a little bit longer, but yeah, it's Fajr time here. How are you?
Good. It's past Isha time. It should be Tarweeh. Good.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I bet.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. So wait, so the idea of wearing red, is that true? Can I wear red?
If you wear, it's only prohibited, or let's say disliked Makrooh, if you're wearing a full, so we're talking about the two-piece garments, and it doesn't have any other colors on it. So if you have a logo that is a different color, you're already out of the equation there. If you have a logo that is black, you're out of the equation. If you're wearing a t-shirt that is red and something else that is black, you're out of the equation. And this was actually, a lot of people say, okay, why would your God be like upset that you're wearing a color or something like that, or some lazy argument like that? But the reason is mentioned in the hadith. The Prophet said the people of the book at that time, they would wear this type of clothing, so differentiate yourself from them.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Mm-hmm. The hadith itself mentions the reason.
Yeah, so it was talking about the war at the time. So they were wearing, some enemies were wearing saffron, some were wearing red. So you didn't want to identify as the enemy.
Yeah, so the people of the book would wear clothing that is like saffron dyed. So the Prophet said don't dress. But it's not only that. The Prophet said many things, right? Like Prophet said let your beard grow, for example, and trim your mustache, because the people of the book do the opposite, right? They would grow their mustaches or whatever and shave their beards. So he said differentiate yourself from them. For example, the Prophet said pray in your shoes, because the Jews and the Christians don't pray in their shoes. It's very important people to understand. We don't have this idea of compromise, we'll do the same thing as you guys are doing. No, Muslims are tradition, and Christianity is a tradition, Judaism is a tradition. We have our own traditions, and you have your own traditions, right? Even fasting on the day of Ashura, the Prophet say, because the Jewish people fast that day, but fast the day before and the day after. So you don't do like them. So you do something different, right? Like, for example, wearing a cross. It's not, you cannot have a Muslim walking around like wearing a cross. That's something specific for the people of the book, of course, and it has all of this symbolic value behind it, the idea of like crucifixion and all of that, which we don't believe in.
Right. And you
so yeah, this idea of red, is blown out of proportion for sure.
And there's I know the Clippers need to do better on that. That is coming from my team. I think a lot of times they prioritize engagement. So when Warner's like, oh, you're not supposed to wear, like then they post it and then the enemies take it, or the people criticizing take it. And it's like my guys 100% need to do better on that, especially now that I'm sure you've seen all the ammunition being used against me, people posting clips from 2 years ago where my Fatiha was new, or accidentally drinking during fasting time because I forgot, which every Muslim has done. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah,
have you ever accidentally...
I've done it too in the past.
Right, yeah. Every Muslim has done it, because fasting, you often forget. Yes. And it's like, you're fake. So because people are pinpointing literally everything I do, let's not give random ammunition to people that already want to criticize and get engagement criticizing. The second one you mentioned is it's Makrooh, which is not haram. Right, haram is forbidden. What is Makrooh mean?
Many scholars would hold the position that it's Makrooh means it's disliked, meaning if you don't do it, you get a reward, right? You're rewarded if you don't do it. But if you do it, then you don't have a sin. So meaning if you leave it for the sake of Allah, Allah will reward you for leaving it. But if you did it, you don't have a sin for that. It's not a sinful action under the Islamic paradigm. But it's funny, I remember Halalko, I think he made a post. Yeah, the culture, how the culture is. This is the new culture, right? The new TikTok culture, the idea of you want viewer attention, you want like the shock factor. Everyone, this is how you get views, because when you want to talk about things which actually matters, you want to spend hours, you want to talk, the overwhelming majority of people are not interested. But things are changing. I can see some people are actually, they're done with that brain rot. They're trying to learn a bit more. They're trying to educate themselves on certain topics, which is better. But I get it, like the Clippers are trying to but I always look, if I get someone to do my shorts, which I rarely do, by the way, or people always see, I post sometimes and I stop sometimes, because the people, they don't do a good job, right? I'm like, look, the first thing I say to them is, you need to understand, okay, you want to get engagement, but you cannot misrepresent the context. It's not just about getting engagement. If the information you're delivering is wrong, then you'll have in 1 minute, I can make you say the weirdest things possible. there's probably clips of you saying everything, every word out there, most of the words used in the English language in the dictionary. So I can clip part of this word, part of this word, part of this word, and I can make you say the weirdest thing possible. So it's all about like this clipping things out of context. It's crazy.
They want to get this clip. It's an optics war. I'm
That's it.
Well aware
exactly,
of that.
Exactly. You have to always be careful with this one, 100%.
Yeah. Just two things I want to ask you about, and I will watch this video because what the new tactic is they've realized that Epstein was 100% part of an Israeli blackmail operation, and this is part of a Jewish supremacist movement. And so they don't want to admit this and they're going to feign ignorance. So instead of talking about Epstein, this is the biggest weak point in the Zionist argument is Epstein. This one hurts. It's indefensible, and there's overwhelming evidence that he worked for Israel. So instead of answering it, what they're going to do is they're going to try to talk about the age of marriage. They're going to say, oh, what about the Prophet Rasulullah? And they know that this is an incorrect comparison. One, it was a different time. Two, it is debated. Three, it's the difference between a consensual marriage with an adult and one of the most disgusting, demonic, blackmail operations the world has ever seen. And so instead of talking about that, instead of admitting who he worked for, because Epstein was a Jewish Zionist and so was everybody who funded him, they're going to deflect the conversation and talk about the age of marriage. And so people say, why do you still talk about this? It's because you can see the tactic that's going to be in front. As soon as you bring up Epstein, they're going to deflect the conversation because there's no way to defend it.
Yeah. Okay, but I mean, the reason is, you remember like the debate you had with Moist, and we had a long talk about this idea and how, and ways to refute this idea. I think the best way to take it heads on is not to like be like, okay, this is not right, this is not, because then they try to kind of claim that, oh, this guy is not being is being a hypocrite. This Muslims believe that. Don't look. I usually take it heads on, and I want to ask you this question, right?
Okay.
When you speak to them, do you ask them this question? What you get on the defensive. This is something a lot of Muslims do. Whenever this is brought up, you go into the defensive mode. I don't get into defensive mode. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, I believe that. Now, can you tell me why is this wrong? You'll hear phrases like disgusting, bad. But okay, can you tell me the argument, rational argumentation?
The reason why
behind this is wrong.
I know how to do that debate. This conversation is not something I'm afraid of, and people have seen it. The reason why is that it's such a distraction, and there's things to talk about that are important that are happening now. So instead of having the same conversation over and over again, I destroy everybody when we talk about it. It's like, let's talk about what's happening right now. They're covering up for Epstein. We are at war with Iran for Israel. I just want to move past it to get on. I understand, and that's valid criticism, but that is the reasoning behind it. A lot of these people don't want to have conversations where their ideas will be challenged, and I don't fall into that camp.
This idea of back and forth, it's more like, content back and forth. Let's have a conversation.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, let's just have a discussion. Let's have a conversation. And I agree with what you're saying about like the age of Aisha thing. Like, it's all a distraction tactic. But the problem is a lot of them, they keep bringing it up, right? If you talk to them, you want to move through it.
Yeah, because I got him on that because the age of adulthood is like 12. Right? That's when they become adults through bar mitzvah.
It's crazy. And they have their greatest Rabbi Rashi, who's like the greatest interpreter. He believes that Rebecca was 3 when she got married, and they have legal rulings based on that. It's okay to get married at the age of 3. Yeah, so I mean, but that's in Judaism. I mean, like, I don't understand how a person would be a Jew and at the same time be like, okay, I'm gonna try and attack
because
Islam.
They don't know. Because one they don't know, and also they try everything to attack Islam. But
if you remember years back, I think you were in Bosnia at that time. We were together. We were doing a stream in the hotel or whatever. And then I told you that something about like fresh and feta and whatever. And I was like, these guys are not your friends. Because if they make fun of you in front of people on a live chat, and you're defending them that time, I remember you defended them to death. But let's just say I'm vindicated on that one at least, right? Because I've seen some of the recent things that have been going on.
No, you won. Look, you won. You know what's funny too?
Because I told you, the thing is,
one of those guys, the soundboard, you could see. But I try to see the best of people. I again, the Quran says, never will the Jews and Christians be accepting of you until you become one of them. But that's a separate conversation. I'm glad you point that out. Because you were right and you're vindicated. I want to ask you about the Shia question because there's a lot of debates going on. Iran is fighting Israel right now. Israel's the great Satan, and I want people, again, this is a good example. I want to create alliances, and I see it as one ummah, Sunni, Shia. I had 2 conversations with Shia. I'm trying to learn more about Shiism. Obviously, I'm Muslim, and it says that we're supposed to call ourselves Muslims. We're not supposed to call ourselves Sunni. I said to school, if that we're supposed to call ourselves Muslim, that I see us as all Muslim. So the first guy, he says that he curses the wife of the Prophet Rasulullah, and he curses the Sahaba, the first 3 Sahaba. The second 2 more Shias come on the next day, and they correct him, and they say, actually, no, we don't curse, we just disagree. We don't curse the Sahaba, we understand that these were the best friends of Rasulullah, and we just disagree about for who the first caliph was. And they say, Ya Ali, because Ali was martyred, and they think martyrs are eternal. So it's not shirk, because they're not invoking the dead, because martyrs are still alive. What is the Shia question? I want to hear.
Yeah, no. I was honestly going to make a video on that. I saw one of the clips that you had with one of them. I was going to make a video on that. But I'll tell you, the funny thing is I may still make it even. But the funny thing is this, right? A lot of people want to harper on a lot of division, right? And a lot of people want to do unity. We have two sides of people, right? You have people who want to unite, and you have people who want to cause division between people. But we need to understand, when we say unite, there must be something that we unite on, right? You can just say unite. Okay, unite on what? I mean, there's a lot of people who go on the extreme side and be like, okay, say calling Shia disbelievers and whatever and this and that, and that's not the right thing to do, and that's not correct. This has never been a proper scholarly position in the Sunni schools, right? If you go to the books, if you go to what scholars believed, they don't blanket say that the Shias are disbelievers. They don't say this, right? This is not a position that we hold. I believe personally, the overwhelming majority of the Shia, the people who are laymen especially, are Muslims. People who've been misguided, they've been told things that are not correct, they're not upon the correct tradition, so they're Muslims. So if they are Muslims, then I'm with the Muslim against the non-Muslim any day. So if my Muslim brothers and sisters are being attacked, the enemies attacking them, they're against the enemy. Zionism, the State of Israel, whatever name you want to give to them, then I'm against that 100%. There is no doubt about that. But at the same time, we've got to separate between governments and people. That's where people get confused, right? Okay, we've got to separate between governments and people. We've got to separate between scholars and laymen. So scholars who know the truth, these people, scholars would call them or say about these specific people, they're not Muslims because they know the truth. And they still call upon other than Allah. They still tell the people to do the wrong things, and they misguide the lay people, right? So there's a difference between the lay people and the scholars. The difference between the government and the actions they've done in the past, the actions they've done in the future. I don't necessarily need to support governments. Now, these governments, I'm saying governments, and I'm putting a blanket statement, including governments in the Middle East, government outside the Middle East. Look, all governments today, Muslim governments today, or let's say the overwhelming majority, let's not say all, overwhelming majority of them today are either too weak to do anything, or they're being bought and sold by the Israelis. Right? That's why we have bases of the enemy, in the USA in this case, which is supporting Israel. We have their bases in our countries, and we shouldn't have their bases, and that's a shame on anyone who's doing that. Anyone who supports genocides, for example, in places like Sudan or any of these other places, that's complete. We are 100% against that. This person is the enemy of Islam, killing the Muslims, poor Muslims, right? So we're saying, look, I'm going to be clear on these issues, right? We're going to say anyone who supports the oppression of Muslims in any place, I'm against them. So if the same thing, if it goes to Iranian regime, so if it's in the past, went and killed hundreds of thousands of people as well, right? Sunnis in Iraq and Syria and Lebanon, Yemen, I'm against that. I can have a consistent methodology where I'm against the people who attack Muslims and they shed the blood of the Muslims. Prophet Muhammad said, Al-Muslimuna tatakafa'u dima'uhum. The believers, their blood is equal. If a believer died in Yemen, he's the same as a believer dying in Iran, he's the same as a believer dying in Palestine. They're all blood is equal. So that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing, this idea, I said we got to have something we unite on. Now, if the people come and say to me, I believe, because a lot of people don't understand, there's a lot, when you talk about religious beliefs now, not the lay Shia, they don't understand what's going on. A lot of them are nice people. I know them personally, I've seen them. They don't curse the Sahaba. There's many people like that. But if you go to the scholarly level and you go to what the books say, they would say that all of the companions of the Prophet have committed disbelief after his death. All of the wives of the prophets are disbelievers, except 3, and in another narration 5. This is what their books say. Their books like Al-Kafi, Ma Yahdhur Al-Faqih, all of these books. You read books, you go to the sources. So if we say we unite, okay, I'm happy to unite with a Muslim. But if someone comes to me and says to me that I believe that the wives of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is insulting a Prophet. I mean, man, if you're married and I start insulting your wife and I say your wife was a disbeliever, she betrayed the ummah, she was this, she was that, they don't only say this. I'm not going to say what they truly say about her. If someone does that about the wife of the messenger of God that you believe is the final prophet and messenger, the Khatam of Nabi, how can I unite with a person like this? If he comes, like, imagine me and him fighting in the war, and he says that to me. If you're a good person, if you're a person who don't curses the companions, don't curses the Sahaba, don't do shirk, don't do any of that, and you call yourself Shia, call yourself whatever you want to call it. I say to people all the time. We're all Muslims. Call yourself whatever you want. I can unite with you. But if you're attacking my holy beliefs, my like, you understand, whether it is the wives of the Prophet sallallahu she's attacking him indirectly.
You are, because it's discrediting. It's actually disrespectful to Rasulullah, because how would he be easily deceived? How would he have a wife and have his best friends betray him? That means that he was somebody. That means that Rasulullah, the man, the example, is somebody who is easily deceived by the closest people around him. That is disrespectful to Rasulullah. And if they do believe that, that is, could you say that's kufr?
Yeah, you see the problem is what? It's not just easily deceived. It's a very simple way to put it. The Prophet ﷺ, before his last ceremony, had over 120,000 companions attending. So imagine being deceived by 120,000 people and all your wives in plural, because the Prophet married multiple wives, right? He had 9 at once. Now all of them were deceivers, according to these people. And Allah told the Prophet, فَلَا تَقْعُدْ بَعْدَ الذِّكْرَى مَعَ الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. Do not sit after Allah reminded you with the wrongdoing people. Do not be around them. Do not sit with them. Do not have their company. Allah commanded the Prophet to be around righteous people. And how would the Prophet say all of these good? You know, what always like ends this point is Allah in the Quran says, Allah in the Quran himself says, that the Sahaba, Abu Bakr, Umar, and Ali, all of these people they're talking about, right? Can you bring this verse up on the screen so we can read it? Yep. Chapter 9 of the Quran, verse 100. Because, you know, they believe in the Quran, we believe in the Quran, right? We both believe in the same book. So why don't we go to the book and the Quran and see what the Quran says about this?
And that's what I did when they started talking about how they pray to Ali as like a mediator. I'm like, well, the Quran says the dead can't hear, so he's dead. How can he hear you? Like, I go back to Quran.
100%.
So, okay,
well, I'm going to get to that point. That's the second point that you were saying about them. I'm going to refute that as well. We're going to talk about it. But I want you to read this verse about the Sahaba first, and then we can talk about this verse as well. So it says, yeah, as for the first immigrants, all of the companions that immigrated to the Prophet ﷺ, and those who aided him when he went to Medina. So all of the companions that went with him from Mecca to Medina did the immigration, and all of the helpers that helped him in Medina, which includes all of the companions, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, all of these people, right? And those who follow them in goodness, me, you, people who follow the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, Allah is pleased with them, and they are pleased with him. And Allah prepared for them gardens, paradise basically, which rivers flow beneath. They will stay there forever. That is the ultimate victory.
Right.
So how would Allah say this about those people? Okay, and you would come and tell me we cursed them, we insult them, they were bad, they were not bad. How is Allah pleased with them and telling me to follow them? And that Allah is going to be pleased with me if I follow them.
And I don't think majority of Shia believe this. I think the one person who said this just didn't know. He didn't even sound convinced when he was saying it. And I saw he was tweeting afterwards, and may Allah protect him. He was like, the first one who said that he cursed the Sahaba and Aisha, he tweeted, he's like, Ya Allah, what have I done? I don't feel bad for the guy.
It's funny, you see, so
he doesn't ask Ya Ali, he goes Ya Allah, exactly.
Yeah, this is a very interesting.
And the second one, I see
Khomeini coming out.
Khomeini is tweeting saying Jesus Christ is a savior and he's the Messiah, he's going to return. Khomeini also tweeted saying that we love Aisha, our mother, and he didn't disrespect her. And Khomeini was the spiritual leader of the Shias at the time when he was alive, and even after.
Okay, can I tell you something that is gonna annoy some people? It's gonna annoy some people.
Taqqiyah.
But we have to say that yeah. So you know it. And look, the reality is I can't accuse everyone of it though. There are people who are honest about the reality that they don't believe in these things. But if we go to the scholarly level, government level, I think it's a different story. I mean, you don't get to be the president of a country where your beliefs are different than the beliefs of its scholars. I mean, that wouldn't make any sense to me, right? It wouldn't be like something that makes common sense. That you would allow those people to be on the manabir, because he was talking about the people, the scholars. He's saying there are scholars, his scholars, the Shia scholars,
and he
who cares the Aisha. So how are you allowing them when you're the president to do this if it's such a bad thing?
But
right?
he did publicly disagree with them. He did publicly disavow that.
Yeah, no. Look, that's why I'm telling you. Nobody knows anyone's heart. But what we know is what's written in the books. If someone says, I don't believe this, I'll take their word for it. I'm not going to say this guy's pretending, this guy's not pretending. Okay, you don't believe it, I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate you. That's how it should be. Allah says the wives of the Prophet are our mothers. Can you curse your own mother? Can you say your mother was this, your mother was that?
What I think, I want to see your interpretation. I think for a lot of people, Shiism is very cultural, right? So that it's common within Iran. So you believe what the people around you believe. So I think a lot of it is misguidance. I'm not saying it's incorrect, but if culturally you grew up around this and people are chest beat, then you're going to follow the people around you. That's the same reason why Arabic is spoken differently in different countries. So I think once people understand the truth about Tawheed, and if they learn more that the dead can hear, then they understand. So the unity is extremely important. I think most of it is not from a real place of hatred or from kufr.
Absolutely.
It's misguidance that's cultural. From my perception, obviously I haven't met, I met a lot of Shias in Lebanon. From the ones I met, it's like a very cultural thing. It's just, this is what we do, this is who we are. It's more nationalistic than it is faith.
I think the Shias of Lebanon tend to be the best among all of them. Why? Because they are mixed with a lot of different ideologies and beliefs. Lebanon is like has all types of like ideologies you can think about. So they learned, everything. So they've learned to live in harmony. So I see them; they're always nicer, right? But there's other types, right? So when you talk about culture, for example, I completely agree with you because there's this clip going on, and there's like, I don't know, if a missile went down or a fire shot or something. The guy had the microphone, and then he started saying, Haidar. And he said, yeah. And Haidar is a name they have for Ali. So when like, imagine missiles are coming down, the first thing you think about as a microphone and people are attending there, why don't you call upon the creator of the heavens and earth? Why don't you call upon God? Why don't you say, Ya Allah? Like if you're about to die, imagine I'm about to die, if this was the case. The last thing I want to say is the name of a human, whoever the human is, even if it's Prophet Muhammad. Why would that is even shirk to say Prophet Muhammad? Why would I say Prophet Muhammad? Why not say the creator of the heavens and earth, who created everything, created everything? Right. So now this idea, look, of saying Ya Ali, because you said to me, they bring a verse of the Quran which they told you mentioned. Allah says, do not think those who are killed in the way of Allah dead. They are alive, but they don't finish the verse. It says, عند ربهم. عند means with their Lord. With their Lord. If someone is with his Lord, he's not in this life anymore. If he is with his Lord, he cannot hear me because he is not in this life anymore. When I say in the Arabic language, أنا عند صديقي, I am with my friend, it means I'm in my friend's house. I'm no longer here. عند in the Arabic language is for location.
So what does that mean? They're not
so
dead?
عند ربهم, yeah, there is, we believe there are three realms. The realm of this life, the dunya, the barzakh, which is a realm in between this life and the afterlife that the souls are in, and then the afterlife. So those, all of the believers that died upon belief are in the barzakh.
So basically, this was my response to them, is that martyrs are guaranteed Jannah. So it's like you could guarantee that. My interpretation is that the word dead in that context is meaning that they are guaranteed eternal paradise if they were martyred for the sake of Allah.
Yeah, so they're alive, meaning in the barzakh, being rewarded, right? So they're not alive, but they're not in this worldly realm. I mean, let's take, okay, I'll tell you something. Let's take their interpretation, okay? Let's say, and like I said, this doesn't work in any way with the Quran, but let's take this interpretation, okay? Let's say X is alive. A person who died, Imam Ali or anyone you want to say is alive, okay? Does Imam Ali speak English? Does he speak Urdu? Does he speak Farsi? So when I call upon him in even the Arabic of today, it's not the Arabic of 1,400 years ago.
Can you hear me?
When I call upon him in any language, can he understand me? Even if he could hear me, can he understand me? No. Okay, if you call upon him and I call upon him, can he hear both of us in the same time? Who has the ability of understanding all languages, hearing all sounds?
Good point. Yeah.
It's Allah. Look, even if I wanted to take this lousy interpretation, understanding, you are giving him divine attributes, because there's no way he's going to understand everyone.
Yeah, that's a great
He's going to hear everyone. He's going to respond to everyone.
So it's shirk.
Unless this is the case. But they would say, I'll tell you what they would say. They would say Allah gave him that ability. What's the difference between that and Jesus then? Okay, God
That's
gives
what I said.
I said
it sounds like Christianity. It sounds like you're deifying a man, but that's what I'm saying. It's not the intention of shirk. It's misguided. So it is. So overall, my point and my intention to try to unify Sunni Shia, it's coming from a good place, and there's nothing wrong with that. Correct?
Yeah, look, if you are unifying, like I said to you, I believe the overwhelming majority of the Shia today are not like people, not only the overwhelming majority of Shia, but the overwhelming majority of Sunnis are not educated people that read the books. So many of them are unaware of what the books say.
It's cultural.
Okay? So they are Muslims, right? But they're misguided Muslims that have been told things in their community and their culture. And of course, you need to unite the Muslims together. But like I said, unite them on what? We'll come back to this. Look, we're going to circle and come back. Yeah, when I go, let's say, we unite, we say, for example, let's unite with the Christians against the Zionists. We have a goal, right? Unite against a person, against a group or whatever, right? So we have a goal. We unite with the Shia. We unite with the Shia on what? What's going to bring us together?
We don't focus on the falsehood, we focus on what we have in common.
Okay, but then you have to make sure that the person you're uniting with is not preaching falsehood to you. Right. You mean, if I'm in the same army, you get the point. I'm in the same army, and the person comes to me and says, the wives of the prophets are this, the Sahaba are this. How am I going to fight with him?
Right.
Okay, the enemy is coming. We're fighting. I'm screaming, Ya Allah, and next to me it says, Ya Haidaru, Ya Ali. Okay, like what's going on here? People are going to be confused. Well, which one are you going to say in the army? How are we going to unite the people? There has to be one thing we unite people upon. We cannot unite people on different ideologies. There has to be Tawheed. And that is what's in the Quran. Allah in the Quran, you know, in so many verses, Allah says, Du'uni, call upon me. Astajib lakum, I will answer you. Then Allah says, whoever turns away from my worship. So Allah said, if you call upon him, it's worship. Don't call upon anyone else. Allah says in the Quran, وَمَنْ أَضَلُّ, who is more misguided than the one who calls other than Allah, anyone other than Allah, who is not going to answer him until the day of judgment. And on the day of judgment, they will be their enemy. Because you're calling upon someone other than your creator. You're calling upon someone other than your Lord. There's one more important thing I want to say about this idea of martyr, being a martyr, right? We as Muslims cannot know at all who is a martyr and who isn't a martyr. And I'll give you a hadith of the Prophet. Yeah, I'll give you a hadith. We cannot say, therefore, that this person died as a martyr. I'll tell you why. Look, unless Allah tells us or the Prophet tells us, right? I'll tell you, there's a great example the Prophet ﷺ himself gave us. There was a person who is in reality, by the way, a lot of people don't know this, but he was a hypocrite. But people don't know because hypocrisy is in the heart. You're showing belief and you're pretending that you are in your heart a disbeliever, but you're showing belief, right? That person was with the companions. In the Battle of Uhud, he stayed. He didn't go to the Battle of Uhud, you know? So people started calling him a woman.
Who?
How can you run away from the battlefield?
Battle
His name is irrelevant. He was one of the hypocrites in Medina, right? Even the narrations don't mention the name because it doesn't matter. The idea is what matters, right? He in the Battle of Uhud, he didn't go to fight. So people called him a woman, right? You're like women sitting with the women. Why wouldn't you go fight? Because he was a hypocrite. He was afraid. Then one of the other battlefields, he went with the Muslims. And now we're talking about what? Fighting. Because everything happening today is in the idea of fighting. This guy is fighting for the sake of Allah, therefore he must be a shaheed. This guy is fighting for the sake of Allah, he must be a good person. This person was doing the same thing. He went to the companions, but he was a hypocrite in his heart. He was slaying believers left and right. I'm talking about like chopping like left and right? The Sahaba, who are the most courageous people, they were saying, look at this person. Nobody today did like this person did. Right? Then the Prophet ﷺ said he's in the hellfire. Everyone got confused. You know, like, this person was with us on the battlefield, he was like destroying everyone. Then one of the Sahaba said, I will follow him. He followed him. He's always killing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. But he got so many wounds, right, in the battlefield. Then the pain was so strong that he got a weapon and he stabbed himself and he killed himself.
That's not a
then
martyr.
That man came and reported to the Sahaba. Sorry?
So that you're not a martyr if you kill yourself like this.
If you kill yourself, you go to hellfire straight away in Islam. You go to hellfire. Killing, like, you're not allowed to do that under any condition. You're not allowed to kill yourself. No matter what happens, you're not allowed to kill yourself. So he went and he did that. And then the Prophet said, by Allah, I'm the messenger of God. So he's telling them, this is the fulfillment of what I told you. You saw him. You thought this person is fighting disbelievers in the battlefield. He's slaying the enemies. Therefore, he's a holy person, a person who's going to go to paradise. But no. Then the Prophet said that someone will live and he will be doing the work of the people of Jannah. People will think this person is a righteous person. Then the Prophet said, in the eyes of the people. Then he will do the work of hellfire and he will go to hellfire. And someone will be doing the work of hellfire in the eyes of the people. They think this guy is going to hellfire. But he will do the work of paradise in the end and he will go to paradise. Prophet is teaching us, you cannot judge. You cannot know what's in someone's heart. He could be in the battlefield, destroying, killing, fighting the enemy, whatever. But what is in his heart, only Allah knows. I'm not going to say this person is a martyr, this person is not a martyr. Then we can say we hope that he died as a martyr.
That's what I said. People criticize me, but I said, inshallah, if he died for the right cause, then inshallah, he's a martyr. It's inshallah for everything.
Yeah, I'm not talking about, I don't know what you said. I'm just saying because I saw
it's
so
a
many
separate
people
situation, but
this,
everyone's like, oh, you're praying for Khomeini. I've said, no, inshallah. It's inshallah for everything good and bad. Everything that happens is God willing. God is the all-knowing, all-merciful decider.
It's not me and you who put people in paradise. I mean, me and you can say, I can say this guy's a shaheed, this guy's a shaheed, this guy's a shaheed, this guy's a shaheed, but I'm not going to put him in paradise in the end. Allah is the one who's going to put people in paradise. And Allah knows how he lived his life. Allah knows the history, the past, what this person did. Still, by the way,
I wanted to ask you about Jiang because he's coming on the stream on March 8th. Yeah. And you did a response video. I haven't got to see it yet. I want to watch it, inshallah. It's about the Islamic...
You should actually.
Yeah, it's longer. It's an hour and a half. So what were the major points, if you could think off the top of your head, that he got incorrect? Because You know, I do like his idea about it. My favorite thing about that lecture, I'm sure you saw it, where he was talking about the benefits or the pros and cons of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. And when he gets to the pros and cons of Islam, the cons he says were, it's too simple. I'm like, that's a pro. It's like you know, going to a job interview.
Absolutely, 100%.
It's like going to a job interview. They ask you, you know, what are your downsides? Like, oh, I work too hard. I'm too efficient. It's like that's the only downside was the simplicity of it, because I think, you know, he kind of comes from this Eastern Buddhist background where God is a divinity within eternal reincarnation.
Yes.
So what was your interpretation? What do you think of Jiang and his lecture overall? What's your interpretation?
Yeah, first and foremost, I say, like I said it in the video, I said he's not an enemy of Muslims. He's not someone who should be mocking and disrespecting or whatever. He seems like a nice gentleman. He seems like a nice person. So it's very important we have a certain attitude with people who don't seem like an enemy towards us. Like, it's not everyone like, oh, he says something wrong, therefore go and attack him. That's not how things should work. But he did like really ABC elementary school level mistakes. Like, for example, he referred to the Dome of the Rock and he said this is Masjid al-Aqsa. Dome of the Rock is not the Masjid al-Aqsa. A lot of people don't know this. It's not Masjid al-Aqsa. Masjid al-Aqsa is the entire fenced area that is in that place, the entire fenced area. So there's
that's what the Yahud say. That's what the narrative is, that al-Aqsa is just the dome and that the rest is the temple. That's what I've heard.
No, absolutely not. The Dome of the Rock was built in the year 66 AH by Al-Malik ibn Marwan, and he built it because he wanted to bring the people to him, because there was Ibn Zubayr was in Mecca and he was against him, so he wanted to bring people closer to him. He said to people, don't go to pilgrimage. So people rioted against him. Then he was like, okay, I'm going to build you guys this. And under the rock is the rock where it's believed that Prophet Muhammad went on his journey, night journey, right? So then he built this Dome of the Rock on top of it, but it's not Masjid al-Aqsa. Then you have another mosque called the Masjid al-Qibli, a masjid and this is ABC, by the way. If you Google this information, it's like common sense. I mean, it doesn't take deep research. Why I criticize it? Because it's like someone would laugh at you if this is your level of understanding of history. If you think the Dome of the Rock is Al-Masjid al-Aqsa, it's absolutely not the Al-Masjid al-Aqsa. This is one thing, because he's saying the Muslims built the Al-Masjid al-Aqsa on top of the Jewish temple, or we didn't, because this is the Dome of the Rock and it was built by 66 AH after the death of the Prophet ﷺ, years after the death of the Prophet ﷺ. It's like, well, Muslims didn't do this for any reason, as he was saying, right? That's number one. Number two, he made like a very basic blunder. He was like, there is nothing in the first 100 years of Islam, and he was like making up these like crazy narratives about, look, like the head, the burn, the stuff. There's so many literature we have from people who were from the first 100 years of Islam. The Seerah of Ibn Ishaq. We have like so many. I mentioned in my videos. We have the Quran, of course, itself. We have the Birmingham manuscript, by the way, which is a portion of the Quran that exists today, that we can read today. And this is information about the Muslims. But we talk about Ibn Hisham or Ibn Ishaq or the Seerah, which is you can say the biggest one, which has all of the history of the Muslims, is there from the early centuries. We have, for example, Hammam ibn Munabbih, who was a student of Abu Hurairah, direct companion of the Prophet. He was his student. He was born like 12 AH or something. I forget the date. And we have his Sahifa, his writings, his narrations. Right? Like, I can go on and on and on and talk about them. So many things that we have. Of course, all the books of Hadith are from the first 100 years, because they all have chains of narration tracing back to the people who lived at that time. All of them, the Prophet said, Umar al-Khattab said. We have historical narratives from Umar ibn Abdul Aziz when he was the king, what he said. Malik ibn Marwan, now I'm telling you, you have a book called Al-Masahif by Ibn Abi Dawood, which all talks about what happens in the first 100 years and the collection of the Quran, all of that. I can go on and on. Like, basically, it's impossible for you to make this mistake and claim that there is nothing written in the first 100 years. Then he said all the companions of Prophet Muhammad died in the battlefield. How, man? Like 120,000 people.
Yeah, how did the caliphs exist afterwards to the Sahaba? I didn't catch him saying
like
that.
So it's like, I'm saying, like, there was like big blunders, right? And then he tried to introduce his belief, his Buddhistic belief that God is within everything, into the Quran. He's reading a verse about knowledge. That there is nothing except Allah knows, even the ant. It's all about knowledge. The verse starts with knowledge and ends with knowledge, and says except Allah knows it. How did you come from that to the understanding that God is there? By the way, these people get confused there. We believe Allah is here with His seeing and hearing, and power, of course,
but not within us.
So He sees everything. Yeah, not actually God within you as a human being, but He sees everything. He's, of course, as God, all hearing, all seeing, right? All powerful. So he sees everything, he hears everything, but he's not actually here and he's not within you.
In one of his lectures I saw recently, his idea of the monad, where the divinity. So he believes. I'm not trying to misrepresent him, but he believes that it's that consciousness creates the universe, and he's always talking about how previous civilizations focus more on the soul, and we are now more soulless, and we don't talk about the divinity from consciousness and how consciousness creates. And he was talking about Christianity, the story of Adam and Eve, which is similar to our belief system. And he said that Eve actually spoke to Satan when she thought she was communicating with God, or when she was supposed to bite the apple, it was really God that was Satan, and Satan that was God. And essentially the secret societies of the world are trying to protect the true knowledge that monotheistic religions are worshiping Satan that is created by God, and that God supersedes all of this, the real God, and that monotheistic people are praying to a demon.
You know, that's so funny, because I also remember who else said this claim. Nick Fuentes, who blocked me on Twitter, by the way. I don't know why. Even though I didn't insult him or curse him or anything. But he also was claiming that Muslims worship Satan, right? And we have Christians saying that. But
the Vatican disagrees. The Vatican says that we pray to the Father, right?
No, even leave the Vatican, because I don't want to even argue from a Christian perspective. But Jesus himself, he was accused of coming from Satan. And then he told the people, this was his response. He said to the Pharisees, and he said to the Jewish people, that a house cannot be divided against itself. What does he mean by that? He means, I cannot be Satan and preaching against Satan. I cannot be Satan and preaching you to do good. I cannot be Satan and preaching you to worship God, right? So you have a religion, Islam. People, all of them were idol worshippers. Would Satan want people to worship idols or not? So Satan comes, no, guys, stop. Worship God alone. Don't worship idols. People are running naked everywhere. Oh, no, stop. Don't do that, actually. Dress modestly. Don't do that, right? Worship the Creator alone. Be good to your neighbor, right? Don't kill. Don't steal. Smile in people's face. Be good to your mother. Satan is your greatest enemy. Whenever you recite the Quran, seek refuge from Satan, because he's the greatest enemy of mankind. Now you have all of these teachings, and then you would get someone, believe in Jesus, believe in Moses, believe in Noah, believe in Abraham, believe in all of the messengers of God. But it's Satan, It's Satan teaching you everything that is against Satan. So usually I quote this verse from Jesus himself, telling you the house is not going to be divided against itself. Like it cannot make sense to come and say that Muslims worship Satan. Well, by the way, that's what Jewish people would say about Christians, by the way, because of their Trinity. But in reality, you cannot come and say Muslims worship Satan when they say worship one God alone, believe in Jesus, give charity, do all of these things. So you know that you're not coming with good intentions when you make that claim.
Right. So
now with Professor Jiang.
Go ahead,
go ahead.
Well, quickly, before we go to Professor Jiang, just a quick interruption. Because the idea that Muslims worship Satan, it says the church, and Nick's a great friend of mine. He's supposed to come on the stream today. I'm not, getting between whatever. I'm not sure why he blocked you, but that's
no. I don't have like enmity with people. I mean, he can block if he wants to block. I'm not gonna go insult him, or I haven't done it, and I'm not gonna do it. I can see he can be respectful at times.
He's a great guy.
Like someone who's like I don't have any issues with him personally. So
he says that the church has also a high regard for the Muslims. They worship God, who is one, living and subsistent, merciful, and almighty, the creator of heaven and earth. So this is coming from the Vatican Council, and their statement on Islam. They say that we worship the Father. The church acknowledges that Muslims adore the same creator, honor Jesus as a prophet, and revere Mary as Virgin Mother. So we have more in common.
No, I'm gonna be honest. That claim doesn't come from people who come with a good, it doesn't come with people who actually read the Quran, know anything about Muslim. You cannot make that claim, right? You cannot say the people who their entire religion is against Satan and against murder and against all of these evil things and being good to your neighbor, being good, believing in prophets, worshiping God alone. The whole idea of Islam is about worshiping God alone. Imagine Satan came with a religion where he told the people only worship God. That is the most important tenet. Only worship the Creator. Tawheed is the pillar of your faith. Satan is teaching you to worship God. Like, come on, it's no way. And I don't go, because a lot of people complain about talking about the Bible, but people throw stones when they live in a glass house. Do you know the Bible calls Satan the Lord of the worlds? I mean, Quran calls it the greatest enemy of mankind. The Bible says Satan. Okay, I mean, I know you're gonna feel like.
Come on, I'm not trying to trigger people.
I'm just quoting a verse. I'm quoting a verse, man.
Yeah.
The verse in the Quran, the verse in the Bible says that. Okay, you have a problem. Okay. You might say your interpretation means he controls the desires. I'm going to be fair to them, right? You're going to say that he means that he controls the desires in this world. And we don't believe Satan is the Lord of anything. He's the God of anything, has control over anything. But you can come at us and say, if you want me to be, you talk about unity, right? You come and say, I worship Satan. And when I say your book says that Satan is the God of the worlds, which quoting your book, you make a lie and I say the truth and then it's a problem. No. I mean, we got to be honest, right? Anyways, with Professor Jiang, he's teaching you literally Buddhism. I don't know if you read about Buddhism a lot or not, But the idea of everything is a center consciousness. Basically, there's no God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Buddhism, one of the schools of thought, one of the main schools of thought, says that everything is consciousness, right? Nothing exists except consciousness. This idea of God's not really a real God, but everything is consciousness. So he is really teaching Buddhism, but he's not saying it's Buddhism. And it's a very intelligent thing to do, right? Because then you don't make people feel like, oh, I'm pushing my belief on you. No, I'm just giving you these like very smart ideas that I came up with through my research. No. Oh, civilizations believed in that. Oh, actually, your religion believes in that. And then he starts to introduce his own belief. Look, everyone has a belief. Everyone believes in something. Everyone brings an ideology when they talk. Nobody just comes empty like that, unless they're coming to learn. Then they're not going to preach. He has this idea of Buddhism. He has Buddhistic beliefs. And what he's doing is he's trying to introduce them through his lectures, through intelligent, he's eloquent. I would say some people say he's not eloquent. I think he's eloquent. I think you listen to him, and I think you'd have fun listening to him. He can captivate your attention. He can keep your viewer attention. It's not like you're going to be listening. I'm like, oh, I want to go and watch something else. No, he's not that type of
He's a smart guy.
Person, right?
Undeniably.
No, he is. But that's why I'm saying it's a smart strategy, right? It's a smart strategy
to spread Buddhism.
Also, to come with Buddhism, covered in knowledge of history and information, right? And one of the things that he does, he tries to escape accountability when he's called upon a mistake he does. He says, this is just my opinion. Okay, but your opinion can be right or wrong. Is it based on, what is it based on? Where is the historical realities and facts? You know this meme about the sauce? I was about to say sauce. Yeah, anyways, where is the sources of the information that you're saying? Mm-hmm. Where's the sources? And then when he's he would be like, okay, that's just my opinion. Just my opinion. Okay, but if it's your opinion, people think you're a graduate from Yale. I mean, you're a high school teacher. People think you're a professor because your channel called Prof.Jiang. I don't have an issue with you. Graduating from Yale is not easy. But in the end, when you give an information, you have to be clear. Right? You have to be clear. I don't have sources for this. And not only I don't have sources, but what I'm saying is against the sources. Mm-hmm. Then we have an issue. So people just don't get confused. Because you can speculate when there's no information, right? There's no conclusive evidence on something. You can make speculations. There's no conclusive evidence. Right. But you cannot make speculations when there is conclusive evidence against what you're saying.
But overall, he's not coming from like you said, he's not coming from an enemy perspective.
No, he's not.
He's not trying to destroy Islam. In fact, you can see that he agrees with so much of it. He likes the teachings, and I think that it's just the idea of monotheism that he rejects. That it's really that the Buddhism. So, and
no, absolutely. It's
not a big deal.
And by the way, I'm saying this, and I'm saying this you say this a lot, but it's coming from someone who's a Muslim who's talking about Islam a lot, and my whole channel is about Islam. I agree with this idea that you talk to Nick Fentz about of not being at each other's throat all the time, this and that. We can have dialogue and conversations, and without being disrespectful about what we believe, right? Without being disrespectful towards the other person. But what I notice sometimes people get upset when I say what the book says. If you say what the Quran says, I'm never going to get upset.
You're right.
If you say what the Hadith says, I'm never going to get upset. But you never see me making up a lie or something you don't believe in.
Yeah.
Okay, if I quote the book, it's fine. It's your own book, it's your own belief, it's your own church, it's whatever. Don't get upset at me. I'm not insulting you. I'm saying what you believe.
The difference is, and this is why my advice to Muslims is that you have to be the bigger person, because they consider things to be attacking when you say things that are factual, right? Like saying something like Muslims worship Satan is not true based off the Vatican. That's just false. And then if you respond and they say if people talk about the Kaaba, they say a lot of
interrupt you, but sorry to interrupt you, but I'm only going to say that before you finish your idea. But it's not just it's not true when you go to the Vatican. If you go to any Muslim, right, and you ask Muslim, do you worship Satan? What is he going to do? He's going to laugh at you, right? I mean, you're misrepresenting the believers.
But my point is, you have to be the bigger person, because a lot of people, not all, but many, will consider an attack if you say something factual. Like what I was talking about the Eucharist and bringing up the fact that it's not symbolic, that this is considered in most denominations of Christianity, Protestantism, Catholicism, and Orthodox. They believe that this is the Eucharist, which is the body of Christ, comes in communion, it's a cracker, and the blood of Christ is in the wine. It's not a symbolic act. This is said by the church that this is a literal act, right? That it's the belief that it's the communion and that this is the actual body. And when people hear this, they say, oh, why are you insulting Christianity? But I'm saying what is factual about the religion. They consider things to be an attack when you say things that are true. There was another instance when Warner was saying that in Christianity, they believe that the pain of childbearing for women is a punishment that God gave to women because Eve bit the apple. Almost all the Christians in the chat, they're like, you're wrong, you're lying. Like, why are you insulting?
It's in Genesis.
And then you look it up, and it's true. Another example, I was watching Passion of the Christ, And I asked the chat, because I have a mostly Christian audience, I said, how long was Jesus on the cross for? And they all said 3 days, 3 days, 3 days. So it's like, well, I grew up Catholic. I remember hearing this 3 days was before he resurrected. It was 3 days, right? Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday. We look it up. It's like 6 hours. And they didn't. And they're like, oh, why are you attacking? It's like, this is Christian doctrine. The point is, you have to be the bigger person because, Islam is the truth. So all they have to attack is falsehood. So when you say...
Absolutely.
So it's not going to be they're always going to approach it from a victim perspective. Oh, why are you attacking us? It's like, well, if you're insulting the prophet, if you're insulting Mecca, if you're insulting the religion, and I respond, it's like, oh, why are you attacking us? It's like, well, I'm responding in a way
But I mean, they also know we would never insult Jesus because we believe Jesus is one of the best messengers of God, one of the 5 main messengers of God in Islam. We would never insult Jesus. They would know we'd never insult
and the Messiah.
Not like
going to return.
Not like the Zionists and Jewish people are doing and what the Talmud says and all of that. We would never do these things, right? They know we wouldn't do that, so they would attack what we believe in. Because we wouldn't attack it back because we believe Jesus is the Messiah. Jesus is one of the main messengers of God. He was a righteous person. He lived a righteous life. He's going to come back. We live in his second coming. His mother gave birth to him. This is what we believe. We're not saying this. We can make you feel, fuzzy feelings that, look, these guys are trying to bring me closer. This is what I truly believe in my heart. I believe I'm closer to Jesus than what many people today claim that they are. Like whether it's Nick, whether it's anyone else, we are welcoming constructive criticism. We're welcoming. Okay, go to the text. The text says this. Text says that. No words. Look, I quote the text. Right now when I talked about Christianity, I only quoted the text. When you talked about, by the way, Eve, it's in Genesis, mentioned in Genesis. When I talked about the other thing with Satan, it's in the book. I mean, I'm just saying what the book says. You do the same thing. Okay, go to the Quran says that. You may say something, we may not accept it, we're going to respond to it. But attacking, insulting, you know all the insults, right? About like brown, all the insults, day and night. We're not doing these things.
They consider it an insult. I mean, many people felt insulted when I said Jesus was an olive to brown-skinned man from what is now called modern-day Palestine, formerly known as Galilee. They get upset and they say, no, Jesus is white. Stop attacking Jesus. I'm like, you are insulting him by getting something that was obviously true wrong. Jesus was a Jewish rabbi. He was a teacher, right? And he was not a white dude. And pointing this out should not be an insult. This is what needs to be known because it's true. But they consider a lot of truth to be considered an attack. Because, a lot of people like to live with false ideas. And in fact, you brought up a great point. Muslims are much closer to Jesus than most of the evangelical Christians that dominate American government. People are on stage saying God is a Zionist. They say Jesus is a Zionist. They say God says we have to bless the state of Israel. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, he's reportedly telling soldiers that they need to do this as part of a holy war. This is a crusade. He has crusade tattoos all over him. He has the Kafir tattoo on his arm. And he's saying the Crusades were about claiming Jerusalem. Who owns Jerusalem? Not the Muslims. It's the Jews. And so all this is like, okay, you say we're an enemy and we disrespect Christianity, but I think Catholics and Orthodox Christians have far more in common than they do with the evangelical Christians who seem to worship the state that was created in 1948 more than they do Jesus or God.
Never had someone who came and said to me that you disrespected Christianity, face-to-face talk, and then I asked him what was the reason, except that he said something like, you don't believe Jesus is God. So then I say to him, okay, this is for you, I'm insulting Christianity. You don't believe Prophet Muhammad is a prophet. You don't believe Allah is a true God. I don't say you're insulting Islam. So for some people, actually, this is what they mean when they say, oh, you're insulting Christianity. How am I having a different belief than you? I would be Christian if I believed he was God. So of course I'm going to have a different belief, and I'm going to say something other than what you believe in. But if someone, and I welcome anyone, look, I've been doing this for years and years, right? And you, since you became Muslim, you've been talking about Islam for years and years. Bring me one clip, but I'm going to talk about myself because I don't know what, Bring me one clip where I said something that I'm insulting Christians, right? Insulting Christians or insulting Christianity as a religion. Like we see people doing with the Quran, going, burning it, doing this and that. We see this happening day and night, right? You see Muslims going and burning the books, you don't see it. And so sad when you talk about this idea of Judeo-Christian,
Judeo-Christian
alliance
values,
or whatever. Yeah, there was a video of a rabbi. I don't want to even say what he was saying.
I know which one you're talking about. He was talking about you guys worship a Jew on a stick, like a dead Jew on a stick.
Yeah, and he mentioned this funny story about like celebrating 25th of December. He was like one of the rabbis, and he was going to work. And then it was the next day, and they take half a day off or whatever because the next day is that. And then he was like, okay, he was very happy. And the guy told him, why are you happy? Tomorrow, the 25th of December, you're supposed to be a Jew. Then he told him the day everyone is celebrating a Jewish person, right? So this is what they believe about you. You want to align with them, you can't align with them. We're not going to stop you. This is already happening. America, the US and Israel is already an alliance that's taking place, right? But if you want to come back to reality, you want to come back to what Jesus taught, look at how Jesus was with the Pharisees. You know, if Christians read the Bible and read how Jesus was with the Pharisees, calling them vipers, snakes, swine, sons of this, day and night he's insulting them. Why didn't he say, let's have this, Judeo-Christian values?
Do we also believe Isa alayhi also said that about the Pharisees, that snakes and vipers? Did he say that?
Yeah, Allah says, لُعِنَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِن بَنِي إِسْرَائِيل. The disbelievers from the children of Israel were cursed على لسان داود, on the tongue of David, وعيسى ibn Maryam, and Jesus the son of Mary. That is for disobedience. Allah says that explicitly in the Quran. That they were cursed on the tongue of these prophets. When David cursed them, Jesus cursed. Why? Those disbelievers go and worshiping idols, going insulting, killing messengers of God. Matthew says that they killed messengers of God. The Quran says that they killed messengers of God. This is how they were. Jesus had this approach with them because they know the truth and they hide the truth. Right? They knew he was the Messiah. They didn't want to accept him to be the Messiah. Mm-hmm. They knew these realities. So you see the attitude of today. Many people who say we're Christians and say we're Christ-like, Christian to be Christ-like, how they are with these people today versus how Jesus. Why do the Jewish people call him JC? I don't see Muslims making this insults and these. Why do they insult him and mock him? Because they knew how he was to the Jewish people. Mm-hmm. They saw. They know how he treated them.
Yeah, That's Shapiro, why they don't like it, right? Ben Shapiro, who's trying to drag us into war, he's saying Dave Smith hates America if you don't want war. Ben Shapiro on the Joe Rogan podcast said that Jesus was a troublemaker who got what he deserved, allegedly. He said, Jesus was a troublemaker who bit more than he could chew, and he was a liar and a carpenter. He just disrespects him openly, allegedly. I'm not getting it perfectly. I don't want to get sued. You know how they are?
I believe he would say a lot more behind closed doors. He has a huge Christian audience. He has to be careful. I mean, this is him maintaining himself as much as possible. Now, behind closed doors, what he actually says, what they say.
Seething.
Seething. Yeah, you have traditions about spitting on Christians. The list is so long that people would go crazy. How are you trying to justify a line in any way, shape, or form and not have an issue with these same people having absolute control over your government? All of the harm that is happening to, let's say, the Americans, the innocent people, when you have an attack, when you have this, when you have that, who's responsible for it, really? Mm-hmm. If you're so upset and you're so annoyed, you need to know the root cause, right? People complain about immigration. Why is immigration there? Mm-hmm. Why is immigration? People will tell you, go live in a Muslim country. By the way, I made a post about a tweet, about they were saying we're peacemakers or whatever. So I quoted the verse of the Quran. Then I had someone says to me, leave America, go back to. I live in a Muslim country.
Yeah, I heard that today. Nick said that. I want to talk about that with him. He's like, why don't you just go live in a Muslim country? He's like, I've spoken how much I love Bosnia and I would like to, but there's always the looming threat of Serbia. So, go live in the Middle East. You love Muslim countries so much. Well, okay. U.S. Israel just started a war. You just U.S. is bombing it right now. Where do you want me to? You want me to just go there and get bombed? Where do you expect me to go? What do you think is the?
It's like look. The U.S. and Trump celebrating bombing, for example, a place like Somalia, right? Oh, look, we bombed these people who are. They're bombing all our countries, all our places, and causing wars all over the Middle East. And then they say, go to the Middle East. How can I go when you're causing war where I am? By the way, I live in a Muslim country, so you guys can cry all you want, and I'll still say the truth. I don't care. I don't need to live in your country. I don't like it. Right? I'm going to be 100% clear here. I don't just say something. I live the reality. I don't like living in a non-Muslim country. But I'm telling you now, even the people who live in a non-Muslim country, I'm not going to blame that person. If you go, you bomb his country, you cause wars 24/7, you control their governments and make them puppets following you, secularizing the country, bringing concerts and bringing LGBTQ and bringing all of this stuff. Why they're destroying these countries from within, destroying them in the infrastructure and destroying them ideologically, and they're like, go live there. Okay, how can I go live there if you stop what you're doing, stay in America? Don't do anything to the Middle East. Stay away from Israel, which is a huge part in the Middle East, the cause of everything. If you stop funding Israel and you have nothing to do with Israel, nobody's going to talk about your America, man. Live in America, live a happy life, enjoy your holidays, live your life. Nobody's going to complain. Mm-hmm. But you cannot be destroying my house. Why are you coming here? I'm coming there because you destroyed my house, right? But they would never take accountability for this point. Never. And Ben Shapiro what's his name? Not Ben Shapiro. Matt Walsh, the other
his slave,
loser.
the
By the way, I
slave.
quote-tweeted him. Yeah, I quote-tweeted him on a tweet when he's talking about you, and it's in love speech, and he deleted the tweet. It was something about you is claiming that you're.
He's a good goy. He's a good goy.
Like,
he's a good old boy. Like
that guy. Someone called him out on that. I don't know if someone can find the clip or not, but someone called him out. He said that this immigration is happening because you are the wars you're causing. He didn't have an answer.
There is no answer.
He literally didn't have an answer. He's an interviewer. There is no answer because the reality is, you're destroyed. You got immigrants from Iraq. You got immigrants from Syria. You got all of these countries from Afghanistan. Like, how many years you stayed in Afghanistan?
There's videos of rabbis saying that this is part of it, where they need to get the Muslims fighting the Romans, the Europeans, that the immigration is intentional to get the Goyim, the different sides, fighting each other and to ruin Europe. So they are intentionally bringing our countries into these wars, which they so clearly just did with Iran. They did with Iraq. And then it creates all these immigrants. Of course, they need a place to live. Then they go into Europe. And then the people who were advocating for this war then complain about the results of that war.
They're very few in number. You have 2 billion Muslims, 2 billion Christians.
Divide and conquer.
2 billion are busy. It's perfect, right? Have 2 billion fighting 2 billion and have me controlling everything behind the scenes. And I'm the winner in the end. I'm going to have the last laugh, right? But if I have fewer, like everyone knows this. If the US is not supporting Israel, there would be no Israel. It's as simple as that, right? There would be no Israel today. If the US and obviously the British, who gave them the entire place, if these two countries, which is we're not going to even say Christians because many of them are not even Christians in reality, but if these two countries did not support them, did not give them what is today called Israel, it wouldn't even exist.
Mm-hmm. They need
so
our money.
They know they
Without
need to
money,
rely on that.
Yeah, and this is why evangelical Christians, it's like, these people, it's almost complete disregard of Christianity. The worship is not, it seems like the worship is strictly was Jewish Zionists. There's barely any talk about Jesus. Trump does not swear on the Bible. He autographs a Bible that says his name and gives it to Nicki Minaj. People are praying on him like he's a Hindu god. And then they also say Islam is a backwards religion. And when I point out that hypocrisy, people are like, oh, you're insulting. It's not, look, this is very clearly, there should be a separation because this is not Christianity at all. And they're using it.
Yeah, and absolutely. And even in, there's some games online where you play tactic games, war games, right? You have an army, you build an army, whatever, the other person builds an army. One of the tactics that you commonly find in these games is that you build a church, for example, or you build a ministry, or you build a place of worship. What they say? It improves the morale of the soldiers. Mm. Why are these leaders using the religion? Because they know, okay, this will work. So I can use this person who's a simple person who doesn't understand anything. If he feels that he's doing this for the sake of God, if he feels like he's doing this for religion, it's going to boost his morale. I'm going to have plus points of morale, and these soldiers will be happy. They will not be, they will not, like you see some of these IDF soldiers crying and completely losing their mind, going lunatics and taking so much medication because he can't sleep at night. So I need to give them some justification. Look, here's the justification, guys. It's Christianity. This is for God. This is for the Savior. George Bush, when he bombed Japan, he did the same thing. He praised Jesus and whatever. He knows Jesus has nothing to do with this, but he's gotta use something. So you'll be like, okay, yeah, okay, this is for God. This is for religion. This is for whatever. Oh no, we're fighting. This is where all of these names come from. Fighting terrorists. We are defending ourselves. We have the right to defense. We're creating peace. We're peace. Why all of these labels? Because it's the easiest way to trick and play the minds of people. So they're 100%. You're not going to find Trump in the church, my friend, praying there and calling upon God and doing the holy sacraments or whatever. He really doesn't even go. Yeah. He might be there 1 or 2 times. People can take his picture.
No, they asked him, what was your favorite verse from the Bible? And he says, I can't give specifics, but all of it, it's all great. The Old Testament, the New Testament, it's a beautiful book. And this is from the Department of War. This is war.gov. Right, we saw a report yesterday where soldiers were complaining for the fact that they were trying to turn this into a holy war, saying that they have to do this because it's part of Armageddon. But this is actually from the U.S. Department of War, where this is Pete Hegseth. It used to be called the Secretary of Defense. Did you know this? And now they changed the title to Secretary of War. This website is literally...
Yeah, they love war.
War.gov. Saying, we share the same interests, Western nations with distinct characteristics, Christian nations under God, proud of our shared heritage with strong borders and prosperous people, ruled not by violence, by chaos, but law and order. We will make America's great again. Thank you, God, and bless you. It's using God to push war.
Same idea of the dollar. In God we trust, right? Everything, like the usage of the word God is the best way to get to people. Right? Everyone has a fitrah, has an innate disposition. They recognize there's a higher power. They recognize there's a creator. If they feel like they're doing something for the sake of God, they're going to be happy. They're going to be okay. They're not going to be upset, right? So they have to do this. You have to always do this idea. You have to always make this tactic of manipulation so they can play and manipulate the people. And that's why we need the good Christians that follow their faith and understand this is a manipulation, calling this out. You're like, oh, don't speak, don't use the name of God on your tongue. Don't do it, right? This happens. I'll tell you. Look, there's many problems. You can say in Muslim countries or whatever. But if any leader tries to use Islam, they straight away call it out.
Stopped. And that's my point. They don't let him. Is that the Christian nationalists, like real American patriots? I think they've been blindsided by this propaganda to think that a prayer in Times Square is more threatening than evangelical Christians using Jesus to fight wars. It's like, and I'm pointing out where the priorities are. You guys are like bursting and screaming about a Times Square prayer saying it's against American values. Okay, I can understand why you're saying that. But where is 1% of that energy towards Hegseth saying that this is a holy war, towards Trump being preyed on and he knows nothing about Christianity, towards turning this into this idea of a crusade, Christians saying God blesses those who bless the state of Israel that was founded in 1948. This doesn't make sense. So if you're going to spike your cortisol about a prayer in Times Square, maybe put like 10% of that energy towards another war that's repeating the same exact mistakes we made in Iraq.
And the problem is, like, some people, I'll say, the average American thinks that what's happening doesn't influence them, doesn't affect them. But I told you, you have, first, of course, you have the idea of immigration. You have people who would harbor hatred because of what you did in their country, and they will do some crazy thing. You'll have all of these things that will influence you as the average American. But not only that, the truth is the average American, it's a sad reality. They live in a bubble. They never left America. They think the world likes them. They think people love them. They think people love what they... If they left that bubble and actually went to the countries, went all over, traveled the world, you will actually see what a lot of people think about America and Americans. And you are taking the responsibility, even though you might be an average American. You're not supporting the government, but you will get it you will get the hatred. You will get the people not liking you. You'll get the people living. America is doing this. America is doing that.
And then they complain. So they say death to America, but it's like, bro, okay, Iraq. They said weapons of mass destruction. There were none. Then you kill 1 million people. People have birth defects because you use chemical weapons. And then you're mad when people around the area say death to America. Well, you killed all of them. Of course they're going to be upset. You think that it's just like an innate hatred of people who love beer and hockey? No, it's the fact that you kill them, you bomb them, and then you don't care, because a lot of people, you're right, it's a bubble where, because the wars are almost never here and you don't see the immediate effects. We see it afterwards when the oil prices go up like they went up today. You see our tax dollars are being sent. You see that foreign policy changes. Then you're like, oh, actually war is bad. But in the immediate, because the war is never fought on our territory, they don't care. They're just, okay, do more things. The White House is posting edits of GTA and they're putting Rocky music over it. It's epic war, cool, Call of Duty. Epic fury, cool. Because you don't actually see it. The people in Iran are seeing it. The 170 schoolgirls, they saw it. They're dead now. Rest in peace. The people who have to evacuate their homes, the citizens in Tehran, 1,000 civilians already, probably even more. Their city is being decimated. You think that they don't see the immediate effects? They do. You have to understand from their perspective, but so many Americans don't have that empathy. One, because they never left, or they don't conceptualize it, but they're shielded off, and also they've been fed with so much propaganda that these people are backwards. So when they say like, oh, it's a backwards religion, they're like, oh, they don't even think these people are human anymore. So, oh, did he fall asleep? I put him to sleep. I thought it was cooking. Try to put him to sleep. I cooked for a second though. I was kind of going to some point. Wait, let me call my back. No. Turn the lantern back on. Mossad attacked. Let me text you real quick. Yeah, someone get that clip of me saying, Muslim Lancer brought that up. The IDF soldiers saying that they're the greatest military in the world. Yeah, I told them they wouldn't exist without us. It's a fact. Maybe his Wi-Fi went out. Get Lantern to debate Shias. I'm not trying to use him as a content monkey. I just want to talk to him. He's my friend. It's good to catch up with him. I want to ask him. For some advice. Does any other? I think we covered like the Western values thing and Jiang, and we covered all the main stuff we want to talk about. He covered Shiism, the age of marriage. I'll watch that age of marriage video in a second. But I want to ask about his advice from the outside looking in. He said Mossad attack. Can you slow down? Can you slow down on the Muslim stuff? No. Go to someone else's stream. He's back.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. Mossad attacked you?
Yeah, 100%. Like this never happened. I tell you, like not even once. And you know, I'm always streaming. Like I'm always streaming 24/7. I've never had like this happen. But I don't use Discord because you know the Discord itself is compromised anyway. So I usually don't. Okay, okay, it works now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to ask you. I think we covered a lot of the stuff that I wanted to get to. I wanted to ask
Yeah,
you
yeah,
first,
absolutely.
from the outside looking in. I'm sure you've seen that I'm up against a lot right now. To put it lightly, there's a lot of battles all at once. It's been, you know. So from your outside perspective, I would like to hear some criticism, some advice, some pointers. How do you think I have been doing? Because I am, you know, really in the midst of it all.
The first thing is you give too much energy to the wrong things. You give too much energy to the wrong people. There's a lot of people who are trying to, like, you know, rage bait you, get you to spend your energy talking about them, talking about they. And I saw, like, I didn't watch, but I saw, like, you had maybe a Zionist discussion, like 2.5 hours. I don't know how long you had a discussion with this guy. This is a complete waste of time. This guy probably looking for fame and publicity, and you don't need to take that long. And this is a tactic. Do you want to drain you, drain your energy, like get you to work too much?
I know, just do semantics until you're just like, you know, debate.
Absolutely.
And I was like, after I was exhausted, I was so tired after, like, I ended the stream like an hour or two later because I was just like, whew. You're right.
And there's so many bots out there as well. Bots as humans, but actual bots on Twitter. And I don't respond to them for that reason, because you got a tweet and you got like 500 likes instantly because they're all bots and they're all commenting the same thing, and they cover up what you want to say. Like, you cannot have energy with these people too much. Cannot give energy to the wrong people. Like, these 2 hours, you could have been talking about something a lot more important, a lot more influential, helping, or reserving this energy for the next day for your own self, right? So that's the first thing I'm going to say. Second thing is, don't forget your spiritual life. Because, okay, you may get confused. You might think, okay, you know what? Everything is happening here. I'm going to talk about this important, very important. Okay, but if you yourself start to compromise your spirituality, your connection with God, then you are losing the battle. Why did they choose the month of Ramadan to do all of these things? They always choose Ramadan, by the way. It's not the first time. Because they know it's a spiritual time. It's, you know, it's a time where we want to take your attention from prayer, from connection with God. It's the most holy time. Okay, we know this is going to happen. So stay on your spiritual thing. Now, another thing I'd say is sometimes you fall into like basic debate tactics, because I saw that one of the clips from this dude, he was arguing with you about the definition of genocide. Who cares what the definition of genocide is? Are you saying, okay, if the definition is this, it's okay if I'm murdering children, starving people? Who cares? It's war. It's all semantics. You cannot fall for the tricks and games. What they do is they always play the game, run away from the important point. Okay, let's stick on semantics. This word, that word, this word, that word.
But I brought it back to morality. I said, was this morally wrong? Says yes, and that's the important thing. I mean, in my defense, you're making a great point. It does actually drain you, drain your energy, and it takes you away from deen. But part of the reason that I engage in so many of these debates is I want to learn about their tactics and their tricks. Because, you know, when you're on the side of the truth, all they have is falsehood. So they're just going to try to argue semantics and definitions. And so I think it's good to know this stuff. And then afterwards, I research what I needed to research.
A lot of people want to criticize you about, like, oh, he's like making these videos of Shias doing this and that. Because a lot of people know what they're saying. They're saying some things which they shouldn't be saying or whatever. But at the same time, they need to look at what your intention is as well. You know, you're trying to bring people together. You have an idea that you're trying to do. It's not just about criticism and overlooking someone's great work. You can give someone advice in the right way, not just attacking him or being angry and screaming. This is not the right way to do things, right? So I think you're doing fantastic work, which is a work because also you cannot confuse this with the idea of not da'wah. For example, I'm doing this work is more important than da'wah. No, that work is a form of da'wah as well. That work is a form of da'wah, because when you are talking to these people, waking them up about the reality of the world, who's controlling things, what's going on, who the real enemy is, people will start reflect what's going on. And this, I think this is the most important thing that I want. Like, if every Christian thought about this point I'm about to make now, who is the #1 enemy for Zionists? Because the Christians that are following you, or the Christians that are following Nick or whatever, they all believe that Zionism is the force of evil that we see today, right? This is the force of evil that exists in the world. Who is their #1 enemy? Who are they trying to take over destroy their countries, spread propaganda about them 24/7, make false flags about 9/11, all these whole stories? Who is their main target? Who are the countries that they're always trying to invade? Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, Lebanon. What is the tactic that they keep talking about? Islamization of the US, Muslims are taking over, women's rights. Who is the main enemy of the Zionist movement?
Well, also,
if Islam was the main enemy of the force of evil,
push back,
then it must be the force of good. Yeah.
That's a great point. But to push back, Netanyahu has said on camera, saying that he was reading a book about the Roman Empire and how the Jews lost the last battle against the Romans. They didn't want to lose it again. You're right that the most public enemy of the Zionists, it is the Muslims. But they also see Christians as an enemy, but the tactic is different. It's undercover. It's smile in your face and stab you in the back and twist a knife. It's saying, hey, I'm your friend.
Agree.
I'm your best friend. Islam, it's head on. This is the worst thing. We need to bomb you. They are backwards.
Absolutely.
They are terrorists. They are evil, full frontal. They've been able to like coax. And if you ever seen Lord of the Rings, there's a king and he's slowly deteriorated because there's somebody hovering over him, whispering in his ear, telling him what to do. That's kind of how Christian, Western nations, white nations, that's how they've been subverted, is through manipulation, whispers. While they think you're your friend, you really find out that they're using you against the real enemy of the Zionists.
A lot of people don't understand this, but I mean, if you look at like the Jewish history, Jewish people are always like this community that is closed in and out. Everybody is your enemy if you're not Jewish. If you're not Zionist, if you're not within that movement, everybody is your enemy. So when we say, for example, that's why I said the main enemy, because everyone in reality, whether it's going to be Hindus, they may like show you a nice face, like you said, and stab you in the back. Nobody is not your enemy. Everybody else, you can play this game with an interest. But Jewish people like you, no. You are both the chosen people. You're both, you're not Goy or Goyim, yeah? It's about who's Goyim and who's not. So everybody is the enemy, but I'm talking about what is their main enemy that they're most vocal about. That's why you saw this what's the name of that YouTuber that made this that they like destroyed his Patreon when he talked about Judaism in
Tyler Olivera.
America.
So he talked about Somali daycares, all this stuff. The one thing that he gets banned on Patreon for is Lakewood, New Jersey, the Jews that have their own hospitals, police.
An important point I wanted to say, because I saw this clip, he was talking to a Jewish rabbi. What did the Jewish rabbi, which was connected to America and the US and President Trump, what he kept saying? Muslims are trying to kill the Muslims are trying to kill every Islam. Right? Why do you keep saying this? Why? If Islam is not the number one enemy, if Islam is not the problem, he's like, okay, he's deflecting. This guy's coming interviewing him about like these Jewish communities, Orthodox Jewish communities. He's day and night talking about what? Islam and Muslims. So look, the reality is you need to understand that for them, the number one force, because they see Muslims are following their religion, Muslims are upon their faith, Muslims worship God, all of that, this is the number one enemy for them. Just something to think about. And like I said, they're definitely not an ally of Christians. We talked about how they talk about Jesus, talked about how the rabbi, we already talked about this portion, right? So definitely not your ally. But look at where they're putting all their effort in. When it comes to media, when it comes to attacks, when it comes to wars, when it comes to where is the effort being put? And if Islam is not the force of truth, then why is the force of evil focusing on us?
It's a good argument.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. And I do want to ask you about this because I had been debating a lot of Jews recently, and they say that the word goyim doesn't actually mean non-Jew. In Hebrew, it means the nation of people. Have you heard this? You're smiling, you have something.
Yeah, no. Look, the word goyim, it's what matters is how they use it.
How it's used colloquially, that's the answer, right?
Yes. How it's used today.
Right.
The word,
exactly.
Yes, the word goyim is used for Gentiles. It's used for non-Jews specifically. Right. Meaning, bring me, I'll say this to anyone who claims otherwise. Bring me one clip where a Jew is calling another Jew a goy or goyim.
Yeah. Yeah, this is how you get dragged. It's like, well, it actually means nation of people, and then you're arguing semantics again. Yeah.
Okay, go bring me a clip.
That's why I think that all these debates, that's why it's important, because all they have is like word trickery and semantics and trying to get you away from the greater point. That Jeffrey Epstein called non-Jews goyim. That's why it needs to be GLM goyim unite, because how is it being used now? Like, great point with genocide. It's like, okay, you don't want to call it genocide, but what's happening? They're killing children. They're starving them out. Well, actually, only 20% of the hoses were. So what's important is that they are being starved. We are goyim, and we need to focus on what's happening, not definitions.
100%. Anyways, look, it's been a great call, man. It's been a great.
This is great. I missed you, man. I hope you're well, bro. It's funny too. Like I had.
Me too. Yeah.
I wanted to go visit Egypt, where you're from, this Ramadan. But
I know you're gonna try to play this game, but it's not gonna work.
I was gonna go visit his home country of Syria because he's from Syria, But I can't go to the Middle East because it's bombed. So now I have to talk to him through
my home countries are all being bombed, right? I'm from a Muslim world, and all my countries are being bombed by the enemy, all of them, every single one. So he wanted to visit me, but look, you're telling him go live in a Muslim country. He can't. The flights are canceled. He wants to go live in Saudi now, but he can't.
I was supposed to be in Medina right now.
He wants to go tomorrow to live in Saudi.
I was supposed to go to Dubai and then go to Medina, Mecca, and like I want to be in Medina, Wallah, so
Trust
bad.
me, a lot of other Muslims as well had plans to go to. A lot, so many people, and I know some people who are stuck, right, who are unable to go, or they have to go here, go there. So like, there's so many people who are influenced by this reality, by this so-called war, which is initiated from one side. But if you're living, this is the thing. It's hard to care as well when you're living in a comfortable place, comfortable house, right? There's nothing happening in your country. And this has been how history was. If you're living in a comfort zone, you wouldn't really care. Okay, who cares what's going on in Iran? Who cares what's going on here? Who cares what's going on there? But that's why I made this point. You, the average American, are being influenced by this, whether you like it or not. You can keep complaining about the immigrants, but they're going to keep coming so long as you continue these wars. They're going to keep coming. You can keep complaining about people who are treating you badly or looking at you in a negative light, but they're going to continue. It's going to continue happening. So long as you're supporting these things, so long as you're not speaking against it, not voting for the people who are against it, not helping the people, like this soldier who they broke his arm, who spoke against Israel, and he said who broke his arm. They're all saying, oh, he married to a Muslim. Who cares who he's married to? Is he supporting your country or not?
Right. They don't say that about
Trump.
Trump.
Is he saying
Trump is married to a Slovenian. They don't say that. JD Vance is married to an Indian woman. They don't say that he's a traitor.
Yeah.
Like,
honestly, it's insane. It's 100%. It's 100% insane. But this is why we're doing what we're doing, right? We're trying to wake people up. We're trying to look in this entire discussion. I didn't say to people, oh, guys, come, become Muslim, this and that, because a lot of people are like, oh, they're trying to just, push the religion onto us. No, we're just talking specifically about what happened, what didn't happen, and you can go and make your own conclusion. You can go do your own research. You can go make your own conclusions, and in the end, you're going to realize what the truth is. Mm-hmm. I don't need to push the truth on you. The truth is clear and visible.
And not everybody
deserves just by having discourse, you're going to realize what it is.
Maybe some people don't like it. People always feel like, oh, you're trying to push it. So it's like, or the people will be like, I'm never going to convert. It's like, bro, like if you don't want to convert, no one's like, maybe you don't deserve to hear the truth. Maybe you don't deserve eternal paradise. It's like, why is it up to me? Or I'm not trying to like, dude, you can either accept or not, but that's up to you. It's like they think, yeah, you're not going to get me. All right, And
that's why there's a common theme with all of the prophets in the Quran. They say, we're not asking you for money so you can become Muslims. We're not asking you for something. We're not asking you for anything. If you become Muslim today, or you don't become a Muslim the next day, my life is going to continue the same. In this life, in this world, I get nothing. Whether you become Muslim, whether you don't become Muslim, like this, you gotta understand this idea in your mind. We get nothing whether someone becomes a Muslim. It's only in the afterlife. And if you truly believe in the afterlife, if what I'm saying is false, if you think I'm preaching something which is false, then I'm the one losing. I'm gaining nothing by you becoming Muslim. I got nothing.
Do you have time? Maybe next week, I want to ask you more about Dajjal and some more about the end times and the Mahdi.
Yeah, no worries.
Do you have a specific day that works for you if you have some time?
Let's play by ear. I'll send you a text on the because next week is the last 10 days. Maybe next week is probably the night of the 27th actually. So you gotta look at the dates a bit. You gotta look at the days. We can maybe get it done in one of these days, but we gotta look at which day in the last 10 days and not the single nights and stuff like that. So let's play by ear because I don't know the exact.
Inshallah, your Ramadan is accepted and the rest of your prayers go well. You don't miss any
Inshallah, all
Tawheed.
of us.
It's very beneficial for you and the whole Ummah. It's great to speak to you again. I always really, really appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate it.
Allah bless you and I love you.
I appreciate it, man. It was a great conversation, and bye, chat. I hope you guys didn't get upset by what I said or there. Like, I love you all. You guys are nice. It's love speech, as Sneako says. There's no need for religious wars or whatever. Let's spread love, right? And all of you, most of them agree with what we're saying anyways about Zionism and this and that. So we're on the same team when it comes to that. Yeah.
Yes.
Long live love speech. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes. Salam alaikum, my brother. See you in Iraq.
See you. No.
Yeah. W Muslim Lancer, man. What a great brother, mashallah. Great brother. Great man. Like overall, even whatever faith you guys are, isn't he a W? People are saying he's a brown clown. Bro, he's whiter than like half the people that even say brown clown. He's like lighter skinned than half the people saying it. Thanks a lot, man. It was great to hear from him. Okay.